Welcome to With Love, The Chambers.
Where life, laughter, and lasting lessons meet.
We're The Chambers, a husband and wife navigating faith, family, and everything in between.
Here we share real stories, heartfelt conversations, and a whole lot of love. Because life isn't perfect, but God's grace sure is.
So pull up a seat, grab a cup of coffee, or go ahead and sip that tea, and join us for honest talks, laughs, and the wisdom we're learning along the way. This is With Love, The Chambers. Welcome to another With Love Wednesday. I am Jamila Chambers, and I am here with the vision engineer himself, my husband Rufus, and we are so excited to welcome you to this week's episode of With Love, The Chambers. Every single week, we get thrilled that you tune in, that you listen, that you like, that you share, that you encourage us and encourage one another through this content, through this engaging conversation. And we just, again, welcome you and thank you so much for joining us along the journey. Rufus, what do you have to say in terms of greeting the people this week?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? So excited that you chose to tune in with us on this journey, on this pathway, on this process. We cannot believe that we are already at episode 23.
Wow.
23. We are cooking. And we are at episode 23 because of your partnership, because of your support. So we just want to say thank you once again to everyone that has listened, that has subscribed, that has hit the share button, that has hit the like button, that has hit some comments. We actually have seen more comments happening, especially in YouTube. Some folks can view or listen in YouTube. So we're really happy to see some of the engagement there. And we look forward to keep building with you, not only building our listenership, but building a community that is interactive, that is life-giving. So just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And please continue to do your part by helping us get the word out.
Yes, for sure. And I don't usually give a sneak preview in these forums or on our episodes, but we are on episode 23. Our next episode will be episode 24, which will also align with our 24th wedding anniversary, which we are affectionately dubbing our Mamba year.
Come on, Kobe Bryant, the Mamba.
And so we are making it to our Mamba year in marriage. And so as a sneak preview for next week, we'll be talking about our reflections of 24 years married, what it means for us to be going into our proverbial Mamba year, and what it means to have the Mamba mentality. Wow.
In marriage. Wow. Yeah, that should be a really rich conversation. Wow. There should be a whole lot to be said.
Wow.
About that. I'm gonna have to watch a Kobe documentary.
We're gonna have to get
this week just to get prepared. Yeah, absolutely.
2-a-days,
absolutely.
Everything.
Get them shots up.
Oh man.
All of it. Ice them knees up. Ice that Achilles up.
Everything,
Let's go.
Everything. But before we get too ahead of ourselves and so excited about that conversation next week, we wanted to loop back to our conversation from last week. We realized that we just had us a good old time.
And we got off program. That's what had happened
we had us just a delightful time.
We hit a detour. And didn't turn back.
We hit a hard detour. Did not turn back. And for those that ask us all the time, the topics are pre-selected, but the conversation is completely unscripted. So we are not going off of any notes or any or any prearranged.
That's right.
Dialogue.
That's
and
right.
So no surprise that at some point we got off topic because
we did.
You are just invited into our everyday conversation.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
We wanted to loop back though.
We're going to spin the block.
We wanted to spin the block back to this conversation about relationships, the cultural impact of relationships, and some of the narratives, quite frankly, that are out there. And last week we talked about some of the nagging narratives around just people just not being any good in relationships. And in other words, men have a certain thing that they do and women have a certain thing that they do, quote unquote, and neither one is talking to one another and communicating with one another. We talked about the voices and the people that impact our relationships and those that present themselves as relationship experts, or those that are in the industry and in the business of relationship. And sometimes some of the narratives that come forth are difficult. Since we have recorded our last episode, Ciara has hit the airwaves, really coming back and clapping back, so to speak, at folks that are calling Russell Wilson corny. And it's like, well, what does that mean? What's the narrative around
what is that?
How are we defining corny? And she said, it's not corny. Baby, sweetie, what do the kids say now? Let me hold my hand as I tell you. Our kids.
I don't know that one.
Oh yeah. I was like,
let me hold my hands as I tell you.
Oh, it's a big thing. Oh, let me hold my hand as I tell you.
My own hands, or the person you're talking to?
Oh my gosh, pause.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Pause. It's a thing.
Yeah, well, I do know that one.
Okay, you know that one. Okay,
that's Mason Cameron. But yeah, go ahead.
Good. If, for example, I'm speaking to you, we got to translate for the Gen X.
Okay.
If I'm speaking to you and I'm telling you something difficult to hear,
okay.
Let me. I'm gonna literally hold your hand. You say, "Let me hold my hand." Let me hold your hand.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, got it.
Let me hold your hand as I tell you. Like I need to tell you something tender.
Got it.
And you're not gonna quite
pick
up what I'm dropping.
Let me just lean in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me
Okay. Well, there we go.
No, you need to lean into what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Got it. Yeah. No. I'm with it.
Winter and Willow, come save us.
Yeah.
I think we have stepped out of our Gen X lane.
Well, there we go. We learn something every day.
I think we have stepped out of our Gen X lane. So the Gen Zs, the young millennials and the Gen Zs can let us know how on point we were with that one.
Back to Ciara and Russell Wilson.
There is this narrative around just being corny, and then some of the dialogue that you've been in recent months around how you go about selecting a mate and making sure that when you're building a relationship that hopefully is working towards marriage, how do you make sure that that person is not only equally yoked, but has the same vision and aspirations and is taking the same steps forward so that you all can build a life together? Like, how do you discern that from those dating stages, and when you're in that stage where you're trying to get to know someone and or build a relationship that you hope culminates in marriage? And so we definitely wanted to loop back to those themes because we went a whole different direction last week, and we wanted to make sure we tied a bow on the end of that sentence. So with that being said, I want to start with the last thing I ended off with was your specific conversations with people that you know that are in relationships at various stages, not married yet, but just in relationships that hope will culminate, into marriage. But I said that with a question in my voice because there's questions that come up along the way.
Absolutely.
And competing narratives and things that folks just have to press through in that stage. And what's been kind of your observations from those conversations and those interactions? Yeah,
well, let's circle back to Russell Wilson and Ciara, because I feel like, is it Ciara or Ciara? Ciara. Okay.
Like the car.
She's not.
You would remember it like the car.
Okay, yeah, because she's not in my playlist. Praise the Lord. But okay, because I feel like that example gives a great illustration of some of what is right and wrong with this current context. Number one, you have the peanut gallery or social media or the comments within social media being this imaginary audience.
Yes.
And if you're not careful, you can make decisions and you could begin to think and create ideologies and POVs based on that peanut gallery.
Sure.
And that's very dangerous. So I feel like we have to know what we know. We have to hold fast with some of the life lessons that transcend the peanut gallery.
Sure.
If you're living off of the peanut gallery, you're going to be in trouble, right? And I think this conversation of Russell Wilson and Ciara, it gives us something to sink our teeth into. Number one, $100 million black man that's not crazy, that ain't got 1,800 babies out in the street, that's like a unicorn, right? And out of her mouth, he seems to be a good husband, a good father, not only to his biological children, but the child that she brought into the relationship. And what I'll say about him, at least from the outside looking in, when he has been criticized, by mainstream media and the peanut gallery, he hasn't changed course for whatever reason. And again, we're making observations based on what the public sees. So when she made her comments, I believe, on the Breakfast Club within the last week or so, it was clear that she knows what it is, and she's very happy and content, and it seemed to be grateful for the family and life that she has.
Sure.
And I feel like people in this day and age, you have to know what you know, right? You have to know who you are. You need to know what you desire, why you desire it, what's healthy, what's unhealthy, what's toxic, what's not toxic. And even the word toxic has been hijacked by media, because what is truly toxic and what is branded toxic can be two different things, right? And I feel like that may be a whole separate podcast episode to talk about toxic masculinity. What is that? What's real and what's not real? But again, I think about back to Brother Russell Wilson. And again, we don't know him personally, but again, from what we see of him, he appears to be a good man. And because he's a good man, he should not be branded corny. Because, and that's how the weaponization of these terms can happen.
Sure.
Something that is good can be branded corny, and then it can create a movement of people no longer desiring what is good and healthy, but desiring what is the antithesis of that. You know what I mean? So I feel like, I'm happy that clip came up in the news cycle so that we can bring that into this conversation. Because again, I think the question on the floor is, what is good? And this is something that I'll say based on your original question about the conversations that we're having with people. When you and I coach, mentor people around a relationship space, a relationship table, we always have to get to we have to answer two things, right? Number one, we need to know who the person is, and then we need to know the situations that they are in. Because a good person can be in a bad situation.
Sure.
A bad person can be in a good situation, or a bad person can be in a bad situation. And I feel like people that are either in relationships or desire to be in relationships, they need to be able to make that differentiation. Right? If you're listening and you desire to be in a good with a good person, you need to know what a good person is, regardless of their situation. Because you and I we know some good people that have gotten into some bad situations no fault of their own.
Yes.
And I feel like that is a lot that happens sometimes, is that people are drawing and as you know, this is my hot thing. People are drawing premature conclusions. And this is another thing, listeners, sometimes if you desire to be in a relationship, you have to invest some measure of time to be able to answer those questions. Is this a good person? And what situation or situations are they in? Right? If you know, back to the pop the balloon, if you prejudge based on the brother not having on a designer belt,
Sure.
You may have missed a good person, a good man, you know, that may not be cool with spending $300 to $500 on a belt because he's trying to accumulate wealth, or he's trying to save up for a down payment on a home in this crazy real estate market that we're living in. You know, so I think, but I think the main point of this, you know, first 5 minute soapbox thing I'm on is what is good and what is their situation. Because I feel like when you lean into that, then you can begin to make some decisions about where you want to invest yourself or not, based on the answer to those questions.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. As you were talking, I'm reminded really of the early stages in our relationship. Because this whole conversation around someone being corny that's a good person is not a new narrative.
That's true. That is true.
And so prior to us dating, the people that I dated were just in general not good people. And so and I'm not saying they didn't mature. I don't want to say that as a blanket statement. We all were growing up.
Oh yeah.
Let me clean
we're all
it up.
Developmental.
Everybody's in a developmental stage. That was a long time ago. So I don't want to speak poorly of people in that way. But what I will say is the snapshot in time. Let me clean it up and be more specific. The snapshot in time when I was dating those particular individuals, they were in a development phase that was just not baked all the way. Wasn't a good situation. Wasn't necessarily bound in making a decision for marriage. Didn't know themselves. Didn't know how to be in a committed relationship or whatever, just all the things. And so when you and I started to date and started to get to know one another, I literally wrote in my journal, this is not a paraphrase. We went out or we talked. He's a great guy, but I don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Why? Let me be clear. Because he was too boring. Right? And my definition, let me help some ladies out. My definition of boring at that time, that shows you my lack of understanding. And truly where God's grace was. My definition of boring was, oh my goodness. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. We don't have arguments on the phone.
Wow.
He's not acting jealous, right? Because that's how I understood prior to us getting together. Like, oh, you are interested in me, so you demonstrate a degree of jealousy when we're out, right? Or we just have a conversation and we talk about our day and our dreams and kind of what we're interested in, but where's the argument at? Like, because that
it's very functional.
Right. Correct. And I want to complete Ciara's thought because she addressed why are you calling him corny? And then she concluded that thought with saying, clearly, y'all haven't been loved well. The folks that are saying that.
Come on, somebody.
You haven't been loved well. I'm paraphrasing. But she said something like, if this is what you're calling corny, then it says something about you because you haven't been loved well. And I had to go back and think about that for myself because I almost forfeited my forever person thinking that he was quote unquote corny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, this guy just want to go to school. He didn't want to talk to me. When we met, he don't want to hang out.
Yeah.
First time we met.
Yeah.
First time ever we met. My friends and I, we gonna go hang out, drive from Santa Barbara, hang out at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. We hanging out at your apartment. We were there to see your roommate and some other friends. And we all decide we're gonna get together and go out and have a bonfire, and you didn't want to hang out. I gotta do my homework. And it was a Friday or Saturday night. It was a weekend for sure. But I want to do my homework. And so thinking back on that and saying, gosh, that's corny. Or that's not a person I would even want to talk to. Or even when we did start talking, it was going so well. I said, I don't even know where this is going.
Yeah.
Because my definition up until that point of someone that was interested in me, or some relationship, or something was based on materialism. It was based on right, and you've heard me say a million times. And what is he doing with this I'm not a classic car person at the time. I know nothing. But what's he doing with this 1962 Chevy pickup trying to pick me up in 1996? Right. So the car wasn't new. You wanted to study. We don't argue. You not when we out. You not being aggressive with other people behind me and all of that. And I just didn't know. And it is truly by God's grace. And I can't even say that I understood at the time to pray for you.
That's good.
Or that I understood at the time
a whole lot.
To even appreciate you to that degree. It was truly by the grace of God that I was able to mature into that.
That's good.
Over time.
That's good.
And I will use that as a segue to get to the part that you didn't answer, which is your conversations that you're having with folks that are dating and at different stages of dating and all of that. And it might not be 100% alignment, at this point. And I literally was just thinking back, and all this was coming back to my remembrance. Like, I don't know that year one of our relationship, certainly I would say, gosh, you didn't graduate till 99. So it's probably the first 2 years of our relationship. Until I moved to the Bay Area in 98. I think that's when I got it more crystallized that this was very, very serious, and, and started to understand more fully, the gravity of our relationship kind of once I graduated and moved to the Bay Area, and we were pretty committed to starting our life, together there. But from 96 to 98, that's a, I know there were academic years. So I don't know if it was a full 2 years or an 18-month period of time over a couple of academic years. But during those first year and some change, I don't know that I understood what I had. And I just think it was God's grace and timing that helped me mature and grow into that. So what say you to people that, again, might be at that stage? And
you said a lot. You said a lot. And I'm glad you're, bringing up our life, right, to be part of this conversation. It's a real example. It's a real case study. And this is something that, I've had conversations, with a young lady, shall we say, that very well.
That I know very well.
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
And the conversation was, you need to begin to pray so that your desire will match what he desires, for you. He being God.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I think what you just said about, boring and corny and this, that, and the other, sometimes the maturation that is needed is the person's desire is rooted in something that's off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's almost like a person setting the bar or the standard or the goal at the wrong location. You know, and sometimes, you know, followers of Christ, people that are believers, you need to invite God into that process and show you what he wants you to have.
Yes.
You know, all day long. Right. So I didn't want to lose that, because that's something very key. And again, back to this generation that's fully immersed in social media. If you're not careful, you will desire what's in front of your face. And the Russell Wilsons are not in front of your face, right?
Sure.
And I'm not going to name any names, but again, if you're not careful, your timeline and the algorithm will begin to program you into what you think you want. And it could be the worst thing for you. Praise the Lord. So pivoting back to the conversations that I'm having currently, you know, with different men, you know, regarding just the relationship field, is very interesting. You know, some of the conversations that I'm having, I'm not going to disclose,
Sure,
you know,
absolutely.
any of that personal information. But I will say that I think both men and women, you know, are being more strategic. They're applying more critical thinking skills as they're talking about their life with a person. And when I'm in those conversations, I'm like, wow, you guys are just thinking on such a deeper level than what I was thinking about, and even my friends were thinking about when we were, you know, young single people. And some of the men I talk to, they're not young and single, and that's part of it, right? You know, some of them have worked and
Sure.
accumulated, and now they're
Sure.
looking for.
I got stuff to lose.
They're trying to protect legacy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And mature men that have a consciousness of their legacy, of you know, of the hard work, not only financially, not only academically, but spiritually. You know what I mean? Mentally, emotionally, like they're saying, hey, I have to be very careful who I invite into my life, because they can disrupt, obviously. You know, and the truth of the matter is, you know, if you get with the wrong person, they can try and pull you out of who you are.
Yes.
You know, they can, you know, they can bring the worst out of you, you know, and I feel like that's a whole separate conversation. But that's one thought that I have, you know, the amount of critical thinking that's happening for people that are not yet married, but they desire to be. They're treading very closely. I mean, they're treading very carefully. You know, they're just not throwing their heart over the bar and say whatever happens happens.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you know, it's, you know, from the male perspective, I'm not mad at that, because I understand the playing field has changed. You know what I mean? You know, I was joking with you, Jamila, about, you know, some women are big game hunters.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And when I say big game hunters, it's like, don't snatch your pearls off, saints. But, you know, when I talk about big game hunters, I'm talking about, you know, professional athletes that are signing.
Like, how she married two professional athletes?
Yeah. How you
married
there's
three
a
folks?
skill involved.
Yeah, there's a skill involved.
There's a skill. There's an expertise.
There's an expertise
There's
there.
a special set of skills
Acquired over a long period of time. Yeah.
Exactly. But you know, some of these ball players are signing $200, $300, $400 million contracts, and you know, some women are skillfully taking them brothers down, you know, by way of children or by way of accusation, reputation. I mean, people are getting shaken down, and you know, again, the men I'm talking to, they're not at that level, obviously, yet.
Not yet.
But they're watching these scenarios play themselves out, and it's like, wow, this is something that, you have to be careful of. And I think when we were coming up, I think it was more normal that women were saying, okay, I don't want the wolf to come get me, and front. And then I marry, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I feel like in our day, that was a vernacular. That was commonplace to say, hey, beware of the playboy, beware of the ex-pimp, right? That's got a 9-to-5 now, but he's turning women out left and right. You know what I mean? But I feel like now that's a two-way conversation. And I feel like that two-way conversation is now making it harder for people to find and move into meaningful, committed relationships.
Well, Mr. Chambers, I'm going to push back on something.
I'm
going to push back on something,
You didn't
Mr.
like
Chambers.
that big game hunting conversation, did you? You didn't like that comment.
Well, that's just facts. Yeah, that's just facts. What I'm going to push back on is this conversation about critical thinking being a now thing, because I recall a certain someone having a spreadsheet. Look, here come the side. Look. Ooh, if you could see him. Oh, I wish we were on video this week. I wish we were on video this week, looking around, sighing and disregard. Because the engineer and the vision engineer is not just a vernacular. You are truly an engineer by trade, have a very analytical, very critical mind, very much a critical thinker, very much a strategic thinker, even from your youth. And there was a particular spreadsheet, sir.
What spreadsheet?
That's what I
remember
said.
my budget spreadsheet, but what spreadsheet you talking about?
Whether it was the budget spreadsheet or another spreadsheet, but there were some things you were calculating.
Yes.
Very strategically and analytically.
Yes.
Before you were willing to make the decision to commit in marriage. And some of those things we hit on the spreadsheet, and some of those things we did not prior to marriage.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about even your process. And so I know we brought it into 2025 and talk about people that are in the process now. But what was that like for you analytically to say, hey, I'm with this woman, but there are some things that I need to consider. There are maybe some milestones I would like to hit personally. There are just some things that I would like to do prior to making a commitment in marriage. And so what say you, Mr. Chambers, about your analytical process?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like trying to talk about, that 1982 Honda Accord I used to drive. I mean, it's so outdated and antiquated. It's like you get that manual out. You go, but the manual on that car was probably 30 pages. Now the manuals on these cars
now the manuals
are
online.
PDFs that are 200 pages.
I wasn't saying what was in the. I was saying you still went through a process.
I went through a process,
yes.
But yeah. So
yes.
I guess what Jamila wants me to talk about is when we first started. Now this is marriage. Yeah. So right up in here, let me just kind of go to the place she trying to run. So yeah. So what had happened was when we first started dating, I had an image in my head and mind about when I would be married. And I think that image in my mind before meeting Jamila was, I think it was probably late 20s or 30 or something like that. You know what I mean? And I think, to be honest, I think the image I had in my mind was, marriage being a fully developed adulthood conversation versus a college sweetheart maturation process together. So I think when we first started dating, and remember, that's when you was on your ACN and you was about to be a millionaire. That was the same time period.
Lily, come save me.
Yeah,
I hope Lily, she was the only one that chimed in the comments like, I did ACN too.
Yeah.
Lily, please come save me, because he's still on my neck about that.
Talking about outdated stories, so let's talk about that. So anyway, so that's what was in my head. Marriage
y'all.
Marriage again, when I was 19 years old, marriage, the idea, the concept of marriage was an adult commitment that would begin when certain things were established.
Sure.
A career was established, a home was established. There would be this bachelor period, you know. So I thought in my mind. And, you know, as we dated and as we, you know, fell in love and just started, you know, sharing life, doing life and everything, that image I had in my head just began to erode away. You know what I mean? And I think for me, when I moved to the Bay Area in 1999, you were already there. I think in my mind, I thought, okay, we're going to see where we're at. Mm-hmm. Because I think living on the Central Coast and being in this kind of college thing, you have this isolation
Sure.
that can be very productive for relationships. Mm-hmm. But I was like, when we go back to the Bay, we're going to see if this thing is, if it's real or not. You know, it's like my family's there, careers there, you know, quote unquote money was there. We know we weren't making any good money, but at the
Help
time
us, Lord.
we were like, oh, you know, I'll be making money.
We rich, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
See, you didn't let me finish my ACM business. If you'd let me.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
There you go. There you go. You know, so then, you know, getting back out to the Bay Area, I feel like everything was validated and confirmed for me.
Yeah.
That this is the woman, you know, that I am to spend, you know, the rest of my life with. And again, this was before Jesus Christ. You know, I wasn't even a follower of Christ, you know, but I just had an inner knowing, an inner witness. And I'll never forget that time before we purchased the house in the summer of 2000, because that was a whole thing, y'all. We bought a house the summer of 2000 before we were married or even formally engaged.
Yes.
So that was just, oh my God, that was a huge conversation. But I'll never forget, we were in my mom's garage.
Yep.
Shout out to Linda Jo Ivory Chambers. Love your mom.
We was on 52nd Street.
We was on 612 South 52nd
Yes.
Street in South Richmond, California, 94804. Shout out to mom. Love you. We were in the garage having a conversation, and we're going back and forth. And I think, again, you had concerns about buying a house with a man that was not your husband.
Yes.
And I remember we had a conversation, and however I did, I know I articulated, we're gonna buy the house, but we're gonna get married.
Yes.
And I don't remember if I said, just give me a little bit more time or whatever.
Right. It was something
that
to
was
that
the
effect,
summer of 2000. We closed. I proposed, I think, on your birthday
that year.
of 2000. We got married September of 2001, and the rest is history. But I think the point I'm trying to make is, you know, it's almost like, what do you call the
scales?
The scales, right? I was scaling the image I had in my head with the living proof that was before me. And the living proof outweighed the scale of that image of, you got to wait till 30, you know, because I was 23 when I got married.
20. Yes.
23. Yeah. So
on the day we got married.
Yeah. So again,
later,
you know, that image, and to be honest, you know, and again, we're not trying to, you know, just this ain't the testimony thing. I pray that y'all getting something out of this, but I will say, listeners, you know, some of the images in your head of what you think your spouse will be, what they will look like, some of those images need to be tested by living proof. Okay. You know, there's a clip going around in social media about on these dating apps that neither of you or I are on, but the amount of women that say their preferred height is 6'2" and above. And then somebody has done the math on the number of men in the United States that are over 6'2", and it was something like 8% of the men or something. So again,
and then if you have a particular race, they got to be African American, or they got to be Filipino, or they got to be this.
Yeah,
so that was men in general. That wasn't even down to
somebody.
Whatever other degree of specificity.
And then, you know, in these social media streets, they've also done the math on the number of men that make over $100,000. Remember, that was the Kevin Samuels big thing of, and that number is the percentage is so low, especially in our community. So again, that image you have in your head, you got to be careful. And we know as followers, that can become idolatry. You can worship this image in your head.
Yes.
And ignore the truth of the word and the living proof that's standing right in front of you. You know, and you know me, I'm a strong proponent of hard working men.
Yes.
Regardless of their paycheck. You know, because I believe there's a lot of good men that are good not because of how much money they make, but the daily, weekly, monthly discipline that they exhibit. Watch this. That is proving them to be trustworthy to lead, period. You know what I mean? And again, so that whole, I wish we had some images we could share, but we could share the scales and this idol image in your head versus the reality. And again, I had to submit to the living proof. And this was before a relationship with Christ.
And so I will find a place for us to close. And I think that that's right in the vein, in a good space, because you joked a few minutes ago about whatever story you had to tell was outdated, and
the 82 Honda Accord.
It was an 82 Honda Accord. But one thing we know about them Hondas, they stay rolling.
300,000 miles, you can get on that thing.
Listen, one thing we know about them Hondas is you better ask somebody, okay?
I still see some of them on the road once in a while.
As long as you take care of it, it will take care of you.
That blue Honda Accord, I had to towel over the back seat because the interior had got sunburned. I had that clean blue towel. Anyway, let me not get into my car.
I was about to say,
I was about to get silent. I was about to start telling you about 6x9s and the subwoofers and all that.
But no, you keep telling us. I know.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah. Let me hold your hand as I tell you. Yeah. There we go. But it's a good place, and I'm glad you mentioned it because you articulated it one way, which was, I think, a reverse of the coin of how I articulated it earlier, but really about this disconnect that we have around these narratives.
Yes.
Whether they are images that were presented to us really based on relationships we've been exposed to. Mom and daddy didn't stay together. I don't know nobody that stays together. I don't even know why marriage is important because I ain't never seen nobody do it. To music, and especially a lot of the music we listened to growing up was very influential in that and didn't necessarily always, align. Maybe LL said I need love, and some years later, who was it? 112 started singing about let's get married, but that was years apart, few and far between. That really that investment in the institution. It was more Jodeci, so you're having my baby, and that means so much to me. It was more that Jodeci influence. And we are trying to bring the narrative back to the institution of marriage. And so as we find a place to close, I want you, Rufus, to have the last word to the audience and really talk about your key takeaways from this conversation and the ways in which you would encourage them to quiet the narratives.
That's right.
Focus on their relationship. And really try to discern and decipher who their person is through all of the clutter and the family narratives and the this person's just a gold digger and that person is corny and just all the things. So what say you to folks that are trying to decipher through that now?
Yeah, no, this has definitely been a great conversation. I think that it's going to help people because of, the candid nature, right, in which we've been talking, but I think that as we close, I encourage people to revisit the desires of their heart. And when I say revisit those, revisit what you desire and why you desire it. And, again, if you're a person of faith, you need to bring that conversation about desire into your prayer closet and do some earnest self-reflection to make sure that your desire aligns with his desire. Because I think we have to make sure that we trust him even with our desires, and I think, so that's one thing I would say. And then I think the second thing, I would say is, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't let social media, don't let the fake relationship experts.
Somebody who don't have no man.
Yeah. The fake relationship experts convince you of something that you know not to be true. And then I think thirdly, if you're a young person that doesn't know what you don't know, you need to surround yourself with wise counsel. You need to have mentors that are real living people with a real living experience. You can't think that you're a young person and that you can gain godly wisdom by way of social media or by way of YouTube. That you need to be around wise, godly people that can be trusted with your ear. Right. So I would say those are kind of the three things that I think that was three things, right? That was three things. Praise the Lord. Brain still works. So those are the last three things, I would leave y'all with. We encourage you to share this conversation with somebody that you may be in a wonderful relationship right now. And this is entertaining, it's joyful, it's funny, but there are some people that really need to hear this conversation. Please share it with them. Send them a little note of encouragement or love, and you can text it over to them or inbox them or what have you. Invite them to join our Facebook group entitled With Love, The Chambers. Invite them to subscribe to our email subscription. Invite them to subscribe to the podcast, which is available on all platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, Amazon, etc. Because y'all, we are going on a journey together. And this journey together is all about helping people. That's the whole reason why we do this. We are not profiting on this venture at all. When I say at all, at all.
When I say not yet, not yet.
But it's coming. But right now, everything we have
done a labor of love right now.
Has been a complete investment.
Yes.
And our bookkeepers and accountants, they can validate.
Yes,
I know they're not listening, but they can surely validate.
They need to listen. That'll help us get our likes up. Yes.
Because, they do our financials every month and they see what's happening. But that's a whole separate conversation. Once again, thank y'all for listening, tuning in to With Love, The Chambers. My name is Rufus Chambers, and this is my lovely wife,
Jamila Chambers.
And we will see you again next week at the same time on the same platform, talking some same good stuff. God bless you, and we will talk with you real soon.
This episode of With Love the Chambers is brought to you by the Vision Engineering Collective, where purpose meets precision. Whether you're launching a bold initiative, scaling your organization, or navigating complex projects, their team brings over 25 years of expertise in project management, strategic planning, and vision execution across sectors like tech, healthcare, education, and nonprofit. Ready to turn your vision into reality? Visit www.thevcollective.info to learn more.
That's a wrap for today's episode of With Love the Chambers.
We hope you laughed, learned, and felt encouraged along the way.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs a little love and wisdom today.
You can also connect with us online on all social media platforms at Rufus Chambers Online and at Jamila Chambers. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time,
keep living, keep laughing, and keep learning with Love the Chambers.